Now, it's time for Tensions Running High, a Penrith Panthers podcast presented by the Western Weekender. Thanks to Penrith Toyota, here's Troy Dodds and Nathan Taylor.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tensions Running High, a Penrith Panthers podcast presented by the Western Weekender. This is episode 57. A big thanks to our sponsor Penrith Toyota, the highest quality on new and used cars. Visit penrithtoyota.com.au. I'm Troy Dodds, joined by Nathan Taylor. Hello Nathan.
Howdy Troy.
On this podcast we talk everything Penrith Panthers and we are well placed to do it. For more than 30 years the Weekender has bled Penrith and we've been there for all 6 premierships and the odd wooden spoon as well. On the agenda today we debate Global Round, Isaiah Yo's horrible luck overseas, plus we pay tribute to Cliff Cartwright following his passing during the week. But let's get underway, and of course we had some footy on the weekend. Nathan, did you stay up to watch the Kangaroos do battle with England from Wembley?
Well, believe it or not, Troy, I did manage to stay up for the first half at least, Troy. I watched the first half of the game from Wembley. I think it kicked off at 12:30 a.m., but I couldn't make it through the entire game. Went to bed at halftime. Had a sneaky peek from the TV in the bedroom for the first 10 or 15 minutes, and then left it. I just thought it was a bit of a fizzer in the end, Troy. I know Australia got the win, and that's what we want to see, but I don't know. There's some of it, just the atmosphere lacked it. Just didn't come through the TV as well, I don't think.
Wasn't the most exciting of test matches, no doubt about that. Pretty scrappy, which I think we were hoping it wouldn't be because it was a daytime game over there, so we're hoping to see some high-quality footy. Australia never really clicked into gear, never seemed, though, that they were going to get beaten. I almost missed the test match.
What happened?
I was there waiting up, just watching some Netflix. About 11:30, all of a sudden, plunged into darkness.
Boom.
There at Orchard Hills Estate. Just nothing, everything. And I thought, geez, is this me? But then you see the classic, people with torches in their houses across the road.
Yep.
So, all right, this is it. And I got the Endeavour Energy message come through saying, oh, well, probably off till 5:30 a.m. So I thought, well, obviously I can sit and watch it on the phone.
Of course.
What can I do? And I thought, nope, I'll just go to bed. And
you gave up?
I thought, well, what I knew was the house will light up like a Christmas tree when the power comes back on, so hopefully it comes back on.
And you'll know.
It came back on at 12:32.
Oh, wow.
2 minutes into the game, so
Yep.
I did miss the anthems and all of that, but all of a sudden I was sprung from my sleep. And
Did you actually go to bed, or you just slept on the couch?
No, I went to bed. So all the lights went off. The vacuum started going off. When you put the cordless vacuum back in the thing and it sucks it all down. That started going off. It was all happening, but managed to see the game. And I went to bed about 15 minutes before full time.
Okay, so you missed the ending as well.
Yes, but this week I'll do it a little bit differently because of the 1:30 kickoff. I will go to bed a couple of hours before that and get a few hours sleep in, and then get up to watch the game.
Yeah, I watched the highlights the next day, the 5 or 10 minute highlights that were put up on YouTube, and look, it had plenty of tries. It was it seemed Australia just did it fairly easily in the end. I think England only scored right at the end, the one try from dummy half or something like that. But look, they were just too dominant, and we kind of thought that would be the case. Like, we thought England might put up a better fight than they did. Maybe make it a bit more closer with the scoring, but wasn't to be.
Now, you would have, I'm guessing, for the first half you did watch, you would have watched the 9 network.
Of course, yeah.
Now, I'm guessing like Fox, where I was watching, they called from the studio back in Australia. I found that interesting because where, I don't know about 9, but where that sort of created a drama was that the Isaiah Yo situation, no one kind of knew.
Yep.
I mean, they just kind of
waiting
and going, oh, well, is he coming back? Now, there's some proof to you that, you know what, if you can call it from a studio, you need someone at the ground, a sideline eye, whatever it was, pay the $5,000 or whatever it is to get them over there and back. But you needed someone there on the ground, both networks.
Yeah, well, it was the same thing that I think Matt Thompson, Phil Gould was on the coverage. I think maybe Joey and Brad Fittler. So they were all a bit like, it's like they were refreshing their Twitter or something to see whether Isaiah was going to come back or not. But I did notice, because as I said, I watched the YouTube highlights, and the NRL.com YouTube highlights was actually the English coverage. So they played.
Right.
They had the English
'Cause
coverage.
I think back in the day,
which
that's
were at the ground.
what it was. I don't think back in the day.
It was actually more exciting, the English coverage, because you knew they were there, and it just brought a bit of a...
and there should be like at least on Fox 9 probably don't have the ability, or they would with 9 now, but you should be able to press the old red button and get the English commentary.
coverage was really good because you could hear that they were there and they were just a bit more involved. And yes, they're probably a bit biased towards England, but you could just really tell that 9 were calling it in the studio somewhere. It just didn't have that same atmosphere.
Well, yes, and I mean, Fox weren't even pretending because Vossi called the game and then he called Samoa and Tonga 12 hours later at 4 in the afternoon. So
really? He called both games?
He called both games.
Don't they have other callers there at Fox?
Yeah, well, I think they used... don't forget, we had women's games on the weekend. We had other men's games.
Dan Ganane was in Vegas or something because he posted it online
in the
a
US,
picture of him watching it,
So, but look, probably the biggest story out of it from a Penrith perspective was Isaiah Yeo, of course, only lasting 8 minutes, and he misses the second test as well.
So are we concerned now with the amount of head knocks Isaiah Yeo's been getting over his career?
Oh, look, I don't think it's that significant. It's just they happen to happen in big games.
Yeah, grand final.
But look, I mean, it's interesting that I was thinking about. I saw that his wife wasn't there. She was back in Australia because she put up a few Instagram posts. I'm like, geez, it must be in the back of your mind that you just don't know what's going to happen in the future with these head knocks and where we go with CTE and all of that. But Isaiah seems fine now. But yeah, it'll be game 3.
Yeah, he'll miss the game at the new stadium there in Liverpool. Yeah,
it won't be long until we have a HIA Category 1 situation in a prelim final and a player's going to miss a grand final, like a big player.
Yeah.
And that will spark the serious conversation about having a longer.
Well, we almost had it with Scott Sorensen, didn't we?
I don't know if Scott Sorensen would have been enough to create major rugby league headlines. But, imagine a Nathan Cleary or a Reece Walsh, and then imagine everyone going, oh, you can't take him out of the biggest game of the year.
You sound like Buzz right now.
Well, that's my prediction of who it would be. Look, it would be true. So I think then you'd start to talk about what do we do here? Do we go for that longer lead in to a grand final?
Yeah, of course.
Who knows? Now, the other game on the weekend was Samoa and Tonga. Now, that was hit by its own
So what happened there? Because I was out at a wedding anniversary dinner in the city, and I went to check the score.
Your own or someone else's?
My own.
Yep.
I went to check the score, and it was... I thought it would have been finished by now, and it had 59 minutes still on the clock on the NRL app. I'm like, what is going on? I kept refreshing, couldn't see anything online as to what was going on, why they hadn't updated the score, and then I find out that the game's been delayed. How long was it delayed for?
Look, it was a long time. I think it was in the end maybe 45 minutes or an hour or something. Like it was a long break because I sat it out for about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to flick it over to my country music documentary that I was watching,
which is
it's just called Country Music. I'm watching. Remember that? Yeah. Well, this aired on TV. Everyone. 8-hour documentary. Well, I'm watching the 16-hour version at the moment. The DVD, the director's cut.
Oh wow, there you go.
So, but I flicked over back a couple of times and it wasn't on. So it was a very long lightning delay.
Wow. So what happened? Did all the fans just had to get out of there?
Well, I think they say that on the screens, but I think that a lot of fans just stick around or whatever. But yeah, it was a pretty bad storm that swept through Brisbane on Sunday. So yeah, then we saw the game come in the last 20 minutes get played. But
so what did Nine? Did you watch? You didn't watch Nine. So I wonder what they did, because obviously I think the block had to. It was the finale too, so they would have had to delay that because they would have to delay the news.
Yeah, I don't know what they.
Everything
just
probably would have got delayed. And they probably would have had to fill for an hour.
I'd say they would have reduced some news. Fox was certainly filling. In fact, if I saw any more highlights of the first 60 minutes of the game, let me tell you. But look, that leads us into Samoa and Tonga. That was the first time they've actually played in about 2 or 3 years.
Really?
And there's actually no scheduled Samoa Tonga match at this point. Moving forward.
But why?
So, it's
because next year's the World Cup.
Not on the schedule at the moment.
Next year's the World Cup.
So
they could play again then.
They could. But should we be having Samoa Tonga now? And look, you know that I'm not the greatest international rugby league guy, but you can't deny how good Samoa and Tonga is and the atmosphere that brings. Do we need this as a permanent tick on the calendar? It has to be somewhere.
Look, it's certainly a game that has everyone talking, and I think it was probably more exciting than the test match we watched the night before. But, what do you do with teams like New Zealand, who are a top tier nation, they just sit there and don't get a game. Like if Australia are playing, like do Australia and New Zealand play a test series every year and Samoa and Tonga do? I don't know. Like why do we give, preference over those two clubs? Yeah, look, it is a great game, and it's certainly come a long way since I think the first clash we saw was Samoa and Tonga at Penrith all those years ago. I think I was even at that game, and it's certainly built over the years. It's had games at Campbelltown and all around Australia, and it finally got a big match at Suncorp, which 45,000 fans is a lot. I don't know. I don't know how many were Australians that were there, or if they were all Samoan and Tongan. It seemed like there was a lot of flags in the crowd. So yeah, look, it's a fantastic game. We all love it, and a lot of Penrith flavour in the games too, which is always good to see.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It just doesn't. I'll be honest with you, until I got a message at 4:00 and I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And I know that's a bad thing to say. It just doesn't. And maybe it's just the exhaustion of the NRL season. Once it's finally done, I'm well.
But do you think if we had a 3-game series every year, would we get over it? Is it good just having them every couple of years?
I don't know if there's a 3-game series in it, but I definitely think it needs to be somewhere. Definitely, at least annually, that there is a clash. I think that needs to be the case. I was just having a look up, actually, at the other teams who've qualified for the World Cup.
Oh, you've got them already?
Well, there is still one spot available, because I thought I heard something about that one of Samoa and Tonga actually weren't there, but they are. They have confirmed that now. So we've got New Zealand, England, and Australia, of course. Fiji, they're in the World Cup. Yep. Lebanon have made it. They'll be there. Tonga and Samoa, Papua New Guinea, and France. And then there is one spot to go, so I don't know.
Right.
That'll either be Cook Islands or South Africa.
South Africa?
Yep. Now we've got a big battle, as I understand it, on the 9th of November at Western Sydney Stadium between Cook Islands and South Africa to get into the World Cup.
So no Tomahawks this year, no US Tomahawks?
Nah, so we've just seen, I think France beat Jamaica to get in. This is the Inter-Confederation Playoffs. The 2025 World Series, initially intended to be the qualification tournament for the 2026 World Cup. The winner and the runners-up were to qualify for the World Cup, and then there's been some drama over that. So, but as far as I know, this match is on Cook Islands and South Africa.
Do we have a kickoff date yet?
Yeah, 9th of November at 11:35.
We'll be covering that?
It says 11:35 a.m. I don't know.
It probably is.
Oh, this is proof, guys. We don't know enough about the international game. We need to get an expert on here. An international expert. Obviously, I think that must be a curtain raiser to the Pacific Championship final on the 9th of November. In fact, yes, it is. So, Cook Islands to host South Africa as the curtain raiser to the men's and women's 2025 Pacific Cup final double header.
There you go.
So, now I believe, yes. So, what actually happened, as my memory is refreshed, is that there was going to be a World Series, a Rugby League World Series that was going to decide who went in and all of this, but they couldn't find anywhere to host the World Series. So instead of doing that, they had a Northern Hemisphere playoff, which was France and Jamaica.
Yep.
Jamaica, unfortunately, no such luck there. They have a bobsled team, but not a rugby league team. And then the Southern Hemisphere playoff, which is where we've got Cook Islands and South Africa. So you would imagine Cook Islands get through. Unless there's a boil over.
Yeah,
I don't know how the South African rugby league is
South Africa. Well, they're good in rugby, of course. So you would think they might have a good shot at this. Let's go. Let's jump on the South African bandwagon.
All right.
Let's see someone different in there.
Let's go out there at 11:35 on the 9th of November. And
it's at our home ground, Troy. Perfect.
We'll be there. All right. Now, moving on. I'm going to play you a story, Nathan, from 9 News during the week. It actually has a little weird Penrith link at the start there. Doesn't help that you can't see it, but this is the story from 9 News on our next topic of discussion. It is, of course, about the now infamous Global Round.
Rugby League boss Peter V'landys says taking the game global will capture thousands of new fans and bring in millions of extra dollars. The NRL has started exploring a global round. That would see the 2027 season kick off overseas in cities including London, Dubai and Hong Kong.
A chance meeting between the Games boss and Ivan Cleary on the streets of London. The chairman has some big ideas. He wants season 2027 to start with games across the world. Global round, is it going to happen?
Possible, absolutely. We've got to have ambition and we want to globalise our game. We've been approached by many countries to take our game there and they're prepared to pay for us to take it there, so naturally we have to look at it.
Is it an idea at the moment, or are you actually taking steps?
Look, it's an idea and we're investigating it. Naturally there's a bit of a process to go. We need to speak to the clubs, the players, and then we'll take it from there.
Volandis and his team say no one thought Las Vegas was a possibility, but they dreamt big. Is this more realistic than when you were thinking about Vegas, or is it further down the track, or where does it sit?
Where Vegas at, everyone thought that we couldn't do Vegas, and look at it now, it's making a substantial profit for us. It's revolutionised our game in the sense that it gives us a momentum that we've never had before when we start the season.
Volandis doesn't claim that the global round is an original idea, but he has an aim to show rugby league to the entire world.
Imagine what the next level will be if we go to Wembley, for argument's sake, or Hong Kong or Dubai or anywhere like that, and you have a game coming globally around the world for round one. It's not our idea. That they've done it in America and it's been very successful for them.
Does it take away from Vegas at all? Does it ruin the Vegas effect?
Not at all, because Vegas will be central to it.
Volandis is always for the fan. He needs him to have deep pockets. What do you say to fans who maybe can't afford to do that, or it'd be a hard thing to watch their team over there?
Well, it's only one game. It's not as though it's the whole season. It's one game, and it gives them an ambition to save up, and that could be their holiday.
The chairman said the players will be on board.
We want our players to be able to travel the world, see the world, and take the game there.
In London, Danny Weidler, 9 News.
Well, there it is, global round. And what do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, look...
Love it or list it.
Look, I think it's as Peter said there. I think it's a very ambitious idea that he's not. I don't think he's come up with. I think this must have been tossed up by other people over the years.
Well, I know the NFL, maybe not their whole round, but they take early in the season. They are off in Germany and London and everywhere. So,
but not in the one round.
Not in the one round.
They spread it across.
Certainly be an Australian sporting first.
Because obviously the NFL's coming to Australia next year as well. So look, it's ambitious. Yeah, that's what you'd expect from Peter Volandis and Andrew Abdo. They've done some pretty ambitious things over the last few years, and like Vegas was something we never thought would happen, but they finally made it happen. But this one just seems a bit jumping the shark, Troy. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a bit.
Arthur Fonzarelli, happy days, jumping the shark.
Look, I think it's just. I think to be honest, these countries that they're going to, apart from maybe the UK, these other countries they're going to, the game is probably unknown there, like Dubai, Hong Kong, unless Australians are going to go travel there, and that's what they hope that they get. They do deals with the tourism boards over in those countries. What locals are going to sit there and watch plays that they've never heard of in their life? These aren't world famous soccer players or gridiron players or basketball players. These are rugby league players who are pretty much just known in Australia, New Zealand, and the north of England. I believe there's a lot of people in London that these Australian players were walking around and they didn't know who they are. There's Reece Walsh and Nathan Cleary can just walk around Piccadilly Circus and no one would know who they are. So it's unusual. It sounds cool. It does sound cool. But then he said, what about the fans back in Australia who, we're going to miss games here, because they can't travel to these places. And he's like, it's only one game. Yeah, sure. But, we want to see as many games as possible. What I would suggest is when the Vegas experiment ends, and I think they've given it, 5 years or something like that.
Yep.
We then take it to a new city, we go to a new city and start a new, Vegas type round there. They could go to London or Hawaii or somewhere else touristy. What's
Nathan,
your thoughts?
I love it.
You love it?
I'm on board with Pete.
Oh, no.
I love it. I actually think this is great. I'm excited about it. And you know what? Even though I have my doubts about this actually happening, I also famously had doubts about Las Vegas ever happening because I'd heard it too many times. But you don't doubt Peter Volandis. Let me tell you why I love it.
Okay.
But I also have a little caveat at the end there that I think we're missing out on something in our own backyard before we go around, heading around the world.
Yeah.
But I love it. First of all, we can always say about our players, some of our big players, they opt to play rugby because they get to see the world and all this. This is giving every team once a year an opportunity to go play in another country, a big moment for players. So now they can see rugby league on a more global scale.
Yep.
Back here at home, it's giving us what a launch to the season. It's better than any launch of any sport in the country that you're going to kick off at 6 a.m. and you'll just go basically for the next 18 hours of footy. It will be talked about more than any other competition. And look, it does just provide those opportunities for those random holidays that you link in with the footy. So I actually think it's a great idea. I think it's sensational. I understand what you're saying, that there's no Hong Kong locals out there calling for the footy. I don't know if anyone in Miami or Nashville, which both got talked about during the week, are keen for the rugby league, and that is definitely an issue because on the ground publicity. As you know, when I went to Vegas earlier this year, I went to Nashville first, and I appeared on a sports podcast. They had no idea that rugby league was in America. It's hard to break through even knowing that it's happening, let alone then convincing people to go to the game. But I will say this to Peter V'landys. It's interesting that we're going to mandate clubs to go off and play in France or in the UK or in Miami or in Hong Kong, yet only one of the current 17 clubs is willing to take premiership matches to regional New South Wales, which is where the lifeblood of the game is. And that is Penrith. Not one other club took a game to the bush in the season that we just had in 2025. So there's part of me that goes, could we not actually, Pete, have regional round to kick off the season where we play in Mudgee, we play in Bathurst, we play in
Queensland, regional
some
Queensland
of the regional Queensland areas. Maybe that should be where we start before going global. But overall, I'm with you, Pete. Get him another poster. Get him another poster in extra time.
How are people apart from people that are high earners or corporates going to be able to afford to travel to these places?
You're off to America in a few weeks. What are you talking about? You just make it work.
But I'm just
as
an
Pete
individual.
said, you save up and you make it your holiday. You say, well, we're going to Hong Kong. But you don't have to go.
No, you don't have to go. But if we don't go, who's going to fill the stadium?
Well, there'll be
so people have to go.
No, but look at Vegas, right? That's an expensive holiday as well.
But in Vegas, they had 6 teams there, so they had 6 different clubs converging on Vegas. And they were able to
makes
fit
a
there.
difference.
How are you going to two teams like?
Well, what's the Hong Kong stadium?
Well, I don't know. You'd expect 40,000 or something like that. You're expecting 2 teams to fill that stadium instead of 6. So. Maybe not. Maybe you could have a couple of games. Maybe you could go to Vegas and go somewhere in Europe to launch the round. But every game.
One thing Danny Wilder did mention there, and I think Pete was wrong on it. He said, does this take away from Vegas? Well, it does take away.
Yeah, of course it does.
It doesn't, he's saying, that Vegas is still the central thing. No, it does take away from it.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
Because you're going to have journos, people covering the game. What city are they going to pick?
They're
not all going to go to Vegas again. They're going to want to go somewhere else, So
now, if Penrith, if global round does happen, where do you want the Panthers to be playing?
Oh well,
in global round.
Oh well, I would love Miami, of course.
Yes, because you're a Miami Heat fan. Of course.
Fan. So imagine my 2 teams playing in the same city. So that sounds cool to me. Now you've convinced me.
There you go.
What about you?
Well. You think I'm going to say Nashville?
I would,
which you were going to mention earlier in the week. They're building a brand new stadium in Nashville. Don't think it would be ready for 2027. I think it's actually ready late 27 for the NFL season that kicks off in September of that year. Okay. But they're building a brand new stadium next to the other one for the Tennessee Titans. I don't know what happens to the old Nissan Stadium. I haven't looked that up. I'll be heading to the old Nissan Stadium though in June for Alan Jackson's farewell concert. So therefore, I don't think I need to go to Nashville 3 times in 12 months.
I've seen Panthers in Nashville. It
would be awesome, but I'm going to go random. I'll go to France.
Yeah? You're going to go to France?
I think France would be a good one.
Okay.
So
it'd be interesting to see what the clubs think, though. Obviously, the players would definitely be on board, but what does Ivan Cleary and Matt Cameron think? This would be a very expensive exercise.
Yeah, well, the NRL would have to fund all of this. But all right, let us know what you think about global round.
It won't happen.
Don't say it won't happen. You say that
not in 2027. We got to open the Penrith Stadium in 2027.
Yeah, well,
we can't be going to bloody.
That's right.
Dubai.
That's right. Hey, the Western Weekenders new app has launched. You've got it, Nathan.
Yes, I love it.
Yep, it's a new way to read the paper. Plus local news at your fingertips, and there's great offers from local businesses too. You can get 5% off at Gourmet Meat Company. We've just loaded a new one where you can get $5 off at Drink West when you buy a round of beers. You can $5 off, or even one beer, I think. So if one beer is like $6 or $7, you're basically getting it for $2.
Oh, that's like old school prices.
Breaking news alerts to your phone and much more. Download the Western Weekender app on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store now. All right, Nathan, now some sad news during the week. Cliff Cartwright, member of the famous Cartwright family, son of Merv Cartwright, the founding father of the Panthers. He passed away after a battle with illness. So he only played one game for Penrith in 1977. Panther won 4-4, I believe, but had a big legacy at Panthers. I think he coached maybe the under-23s or the reserve grade side at one point in the 1980s. He was actually Penrith's first ever ball boy in 1967. Yeah, I spoke to him last year. So our thoughts with Cliff Cartwright, obviously a sad time when we start seeing some of these players from the 70s and 80s obviously getting on a bit and falling ill and passing away.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Cliff, Cliff leaves behind a unique legacy at Panthers, as you said, being the first ball boy there back in 1967. That's something that no one will be able to claim except for Cliff. And I know his family are obviously devastated to lose him over the weekend. Had lots of people sending in tributes and well wishes for Cliff. Of course, apparently had been sick for a little while now, but he'll be missed. And it was good to see that Panthers also put a tribute out on the weekend too for Cliff's passing, because I think it's important to remember those guys from, no matter if they played one game or 200 games, it's important to acknowledge what they did for the club.
I would love to do a series where we interview players who played one game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really, really interesting because a big highlight of their life, for sure. And it doesn't matter that they didn't go on. I mean, some would have hard luck stories about not going on. Others would just be like, thrilled that they got the one game. And as for Cliff Cartwright, look, he might not have had a long first grade career, but a very long association with the Panthers. I know he went to Colleton High School. I think he'd moved to Port Macquarie in recent years. But our thoughts with Cliff Cartwright's family, and our thoughts also with the Farragher family. John Farragher are not well at the moment either. So our thoughts with Jake and the whole family there. All right, now our listener topics, Nathan.
Yes.
Podcast at westernweekender.com.au if you want to send through a listener topic. Now, we had a random one come through this week, but I liked it because I've got one straight away in my head.
Yep.
And he said, what random memory of just a normal game always sticks with you? So not like, how good was the semi-final against Para or this grand final or whatever, but just a random regular season round game that for some reason has just stuck in your mind. Because we know that, if I told you right now, let's go back to 2017 and look at this round 8 game, we wouldn't even remember it, but is there a game that sticks out? Now, for me, I went all the way back to 2002.
Okay.
And for some reason, this game always sticks with me. Penrith had lost, I think, their first 6 or 7 games of that season. It was a game later in the year in 2002 against Cronulla at Penrith. There was a crowd of 6,000 at Penrith Stadium, and I remember we won off a Luke Prittis forward pass, and I reckon it went 3 metres forward, and it was wet, it was rainy, and I remember I was with a friend at the time who'd never been to the footy. They thought this was the greatest thing ever, so that's probably why I remember it as well. But I always remember that forward pass from Luke Prittis. I think it was to Chris Hicks, who scores the winning try. And I think Penrith might have won 24-22 or something like that.
Wow.
But one that I just always remember, always sticks in my head, that game between Penrith and Cronulla in 2002.
There you go. Look, I saw this question as well, Troy, and the first thing that came to my mind was a game when I was a kid. It was a Canberra Raiders game, actually.
Right.
So I know this is not a Canberra Raiders podcast, but of course that's who I was following when I was growing up. So it was a Canberra Raiders game between the Brisbane Broncos. So this was 2 heavyweights going at it in the mid-90s. And there was one try in particular in that game that obviously still sticks with me today. It was a Brett Mullins try. You may know the one. It's Rabs was calling the game, and it was a chip over the top, and then he kicked it again. He kicked it twice, and then he regathered and scored under the post. Brett Mullins did, and I still think that was the greatest try I've ever seen on TV or anywhere. It was individual brilliance, and I remember the next day at school we trying to recreate that that try in the Mary McKillop footy fields or whatever. So yeah, definitely remember certain moments as a kid more. Another one I think it's not a memorable game by any means. It was a game that you and I attended during the 2020 season during COVID, and we're in Campbelltown, and I think there was maybe 6 people in the crowd and a bunch of cardboard cutouts, and it was Penrith versus Newcastle, and that game went to extra time, golden point, and would end up in a draw. And there was just I remember Matt Burton trying to kick about 5 or 6 field goals and missed every single one of them. So yeah, random game, obviously nothing special by any means, but it was sort of like a weird circumstance, just you and I being there as journalists. Like, we just got our way in, like, even though when we go to games, we just go as fans, but this time we so badly wanted to use our media passes.
And then we went to one at Cogra as well.
Went to Cogra.
And then you went to one at, I think in 2021 maybe, when, against Para at Penrith.
Yeah, so, it was a Battle of the West.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was a weird game too, because I think they just called another lockdown.
Yep.
And so yeah, that was some weird games. I must admit, those ones definitely stick out for Panthers stuff. Yeah,
definitely good memories, because without giving ourselves a pat on the back for being able to go, but you very rarely do you get to go to first grade NRL game. You're pretty much the only people there. So
absolutely. I remember we went to the press conferences and everything. Wayne, I remember Wayne Bennett one in particular.
Yes,
filed into the Cogra press conference. He wasn't very happy that night, Wayne.
He wasn't happy, and of course you had to do the temperature checks as you walked in.
Temperature checks,
all this sort of stuff. It's very it's just bizarre when you look back on COVID now.
Yeah.
But I know that yes, we're 5 years, 6 years down the track, so you can look at it like this. But you look at it and you go, what were we doing? We're worried about that, you were next to someone in the fruit aisle 10 minutes ago who might have had COVID.
I know, and you've had
venue alerts.
2 weeks
you
late.
of course were forced
I got caught up in
a lockdown.
Yep, sure did. Yep. I was at Tony Ferguson Chemist with my nana, and we were there for some reason, and got an alert to say that you were in the vicinity of someone that had COVID that morning.
And that person may not have been there at the same time as you.
Have been, no.
It was like a period of time.
Yeah, period of time.
They might have touched
They could have.
The soap
breath
on the
could
way
still
out,
be in the air, but we had to. We were then forced to do multiple tests, like go out to the actual COVID drive-throughs and do tests.
And you had to stay at home for 2 weeks.
Stay at home for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. What
I
were you doing?
had the army knock on my door to make sure I was home. Police were circling around. It was crazy. To think about what people had to go through during that period.
You know what gets me now that I wouldn't say I didn't care about at the time, but I didn't have a kid at this time. But remember they closed the parks?
Yeah.
So even the slippery slides and swings and whatever else, and I was like, oh, that seems a bit bizarre, but whatever. Now I'm like, geez, if that happened now, I mean, the parents back then must have just been pulling their hair out, not even able to walk down to the park or whatever. But it's a very bizarre period of time. And when you look back on it now, you just go, what were we doing? And obsessed with the 11 a.m. press conference, of course. What would the numbers be today?
Yeah, I remember when they started out really low and then just out of nowhere there was 60 and you're like, oh no, the world was going to end.
Yeah, and then you had, of course, the 10 people at Christmas lunch. You can only have 10. Have that 11th there.
Yeah,
it could be a crisis.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. Well, Corona cast.
Yeah, I think a lot of people definitely broke the rules during that during that period.
Yeah, lockdown, lowdown. Was that we did a podcast during that time?
Do you think you know how people copped fines during that period?
Yeah.
Were they enforceable?
No, I think most of them have actually been. I mean, I guess if you paid them, but a big chunk have now been thrown out. Anyone who actually defended it through the court process, I'm pretty sure that they've basically been thrown out.
Some big fines got thrown out, $5,000 fines for some people,
Yeah, ridiculous. And I was actually on the wrong side of the magical Northern Road line, so I was in the even harsher
they didn't like
restrictions. Like, if I wanted to go for a walk, I had to wear a mask, even if there was no one else around. I don't know why. Tell me why.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting the most is that we walked away going, I don't know about our top health officials. Remember the Queensland one who said that even if you're in your car by yourself, you should wear a mask?
Yeah, they did. They enforced that.
And then the I think it was the South Australian one maybe, who was like, if the ball's coming for you in the crowd, don't touch it. You could have COVID on
it. Don't touch it.
What are we doing?
Yeah, do you remember those games where Matt Cameron was walking around, he'd be the one washing the balls?
He was in the bubble.
Yeah.
So, when he used to speak about how you go home, but you had to, I think you had to basically strip off out the front of your house and, do a...
Do you ever wonder how many COVID cases there are now?
Well, I can't say I do wonder, but...
I just thought of it then.
But there would be thousands.
Yeah.
There would be thousands. Yeah. And let's not... most of us went and got vaccinated and whatnot.
Yeah.
The reality is, I don't, does it make any difference? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, crazy time, but we got through it. And,
I even had to hack away because I was so caught up in, obviously, as we all were, to get. I think you might have as well, to actually get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Remember there was what you can do is you can use this email address over here and you can sneak your
I had
way
to go to
in
bloody somewhere in the southwest.
I remember
driving
that.
an hour out, Minto Way or something.
I went
get a vaccination.
I think I got my first one in maybe locally, but I had to get my second one at Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah.
When they had the big...
Because they were giving it to some people and not to others, depending what profession you had as well. You could get it, and you were just trying to find ways to...
I can't remember what the hack was, but there was a hack in the system that you kind of went, if you click this and you click this, you're going to get through.
I remember.
Oh, yeah. What a time. What a time. What a time to have lived through. But I got to say, and look, not the same for everyone, but I didn't mind it. You could drive around. There's no one on the roads. Park wherever you wanted.
You go to the plaza, everything was just shut, except from a couple of Woolies and Coles and that were open.
Very, very surreal. And when things did open, you could go to the movies again. I'm a big movie goer.
Yep.
Probably saw the worst movies of my life over that 2 years.
Oh, really?
There was some bad movies.
Nothing was coming out.
There was some bad movies. There was Mel Gibson, Fat Man, where he was Santa, and then there was a movie with Liam Neeson, where because of their filming restrictions, it was basically just him in the movie. There was no one else in the movie. He was and it wasn't until you actually thought about it, you were like, hang on, he's running around the streets here, and there's no one in the streets. But,
and the TV shows were pretty bad during that time as well, I remember.
Yeah, very bizarre. Very bizarre time. But anyway... That's our COVID update.
Penrith were very successful during the COVID era, though.
Yeah. Well, one could argue without COVID. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because, Ivan will tell you, as many times as he wants to say it, that the Sunshine Coast camp in particular galvanised the team for what was to come.
And even just that break in 2020 when I think they had a month off or something like that.
Yep.
And after the first 2 games, and then Penrith came back after that month and pretty much blitzed the rest of the year.
Remember, Penrith had won the first 2 games of the year. Remember, Trent Robinson wanted the first points,
wiped.
the first 2 rounds wiped.
Yeah,
I think it's the Roosters had struggled.
Yeah, they lost.
We beat the
Roosters, we beat them, and they were the premiers too.
They might have lost their opening too, and he was like, "Oh no, we should be the all new competition that starts."
Yeah, I remember that well.
Come on, Trent. All right, well, look, that is it for our Tensions Running High this week. We've still got another couple of weeks to go, and back for another episode next Wednesday. Visit westernweekender.com.au, download the app, follow us on all the socials, and check out our print edition out every Thursday. I'm Troy Dodds. Nathan, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Troy.
And thanks to Penrith Toyota too for their sponsorship. Whether you are a 67er, a Gerds, a Royce convert, what about that? 57th time, and I've stuffed up the outro. But we're not going to redo it. That's not what we do here. Whether you are a 67er, a brand new Royce convert, Gerds guy or girl, you're on the bandwagon for the first time, we are all in this together. Let's go Panthers. See you next week.